For Off the Block, I'm Vinny Lopes, and we're now joined by Penn State men's volleyball head coach Mark Pavlik. And Coach, it's a little bit of a different year for you guys. You're not having to fly across the nation to open your season. You're going to be at home playing host to UCLA and USC, and Ohio State's also coming in to play those two MPSF teams. What are you expecting from this upcoming weekend or week of non-conference action that starts Thursday?
I think first and foremost, we got to try to get out of early January volleyball as soon as possible, and that probably doesn't just hang in there for our team, but probably for SC, UCLA, and Ohio State. And I know, UCLA will have played Mason on Tuesday night, and I think Ohio State's had some matches against McMaster. I don't think SC has played anybody, nor have we. So, I think you go into this these first couple of matches saying, okay, let's get used to playing again and back on the ground, and no matter how hard and how well you worked in the fall, you just got to get back into the swing of things with everybody back on the court together.
Yeah. Well, and Coach, talking about your team, obviously you lost a lot of seniors from last year's team, but who are some of the new players that are stepping up who we might see in the starting lineup this year?
Well, Chris Nugent's not going to be a surprise to anybody. He had a very good summer with the junior national team, and I think he just carried that on through the fall, and he's gotten a little bit stronger, a little bit more dynamic, and Chris has got a live arm, and hopefully we can find ways to take advantage of that. Jalen Penrose saw some action last year, and when you talk about dynamic and strong arms, he's one of those guys. He just needs the experience. He needs to play at a high level. He needs to know how to continue to play at a high level over the course of a game, of a match, of a week, of a season. So, this is going to be, there are going to be times with Jalen where I fully expect he's going to look just all world, and then there are times where he's going to look like he just started to play volleyball, and hopefully we can help him iron out the consistency issues and just get comfortable with scoring some points on the right side. Royce Clemens has kind of stepped into the libero position, and you replace a fifth-year senior libero, and sometimes the first couple of weeks out the gate, you just aren't really sure what you're going to get from a new guy out there. And Royce is a terrific athlete, and I think he's going to have to be in the same position that Jalen's in, where how do you stay good through the course of a game, through the course of a match, and it's going to take some time. And hopefully what January will do for us, especially the first 3 weeks where we're out of conference and playing some quality teams, it'll give these guys a real quick reminder of the level that we need to be at, because we'd like to be coming out of our own locker room that last match in May.
Yeah. And Coach, I'd love to get your thoughts when you have some new players coming in the starting lineup. How do you manage it as a coach when in a match maybe necessarily things aren't going their way? Do you give them a little bit of a longer leash to try to give them the opportunity to figure it out on the court, or is it a bit of a shorter leash to kind of pull them in, let them see the match a little bit from the bench?
I wish I had the answer for you then, because I think no matter what sport, that's always the artistic flair that I think coaches bring to their own teams. A lot of that answer is based on what you see every day in practice. How do you see your guys recover? How do you see them handle success as well? And I don't think there's a tried and true method. At least I'm not smart enough to come up with one yet. But I think it's an individual case by individual case, and you certainly want the guys on your team scoring points for the same guys in the same uniform than the other guys, but I think you got to let them work through some things. I think you got to balance that with, all right, are we truly hurting the team, or is this growth disguised, kind of a painful type of growth here that we go through it, we're going to be better for it on the other end. But I don't know if I have the right answers for it, and I think I probably lean more toward, hey, let's figure this out. Let's get this information. Let's gather this data and come back at it the next week in the training gym and see if we can help you get better at it. I don't know if that's the answer you want, but you ask her. It's a very good question to ask, and if you ever get a good answer, let me know.
Yeah, I'll try. But that's why you're paid the big bucks, Coach. But, I would like to get your thoughts about. We talked about some of the newer players, but one player coming back to the starting lineup, your setter Taylor Hammond. What has he been able to do to elevate his game this offseason?
Well, I think the biggest elevation of Taylor's game has come from the elevation of Zach Perrick's game. Right now, they are neck and neck with a battle going on. Taylor's had the opportunity to, be on the court the majority of time the last 3 years, and Zach came back this fall and just has played the best Zach has ever played in his career. He's doing some good things, and the teams that we surround them with in training, they're responding well to both of them. So, we've got a situation here where I think that it's going to be. We have the luxury of having two setters who know this team inside out, who bring to the court a little bit different strengths, and can help us. I would not be surprised this year if we get significant contribution not only from Taylor, but also from Zach. And, Taylor's strength is he knows this group. He has set this group. We are trying to make sure that, unlike last year, we had our safety blanket of just throw the ball up to Aaron. Aaron's not here. So I think the success of this team is going to be particularly more dependent upon the decision-making, the execution of our offense through our second contact, through Taylor, through Zach. So, we're not gonna have somebody that hits us out of trouble as easily as Aaron did last year. So we got to make sure that when we're in trouble, we're making good decisions, we're executing the set tempo and shape that we want, and both of the setters have really seemed to grasp that and run with it. So it'll be a real interesting look early through the season here to see how Zach and Taylor push each other.
Well, talking about some of your early season matches, playing USC and UCLA, when you have these early season matches, are you able to do any scouting of these teams going in, or are you pretty much just concerned about what's going on your side of the net?
Yeah, a little bit of both. We've had the luxury of being on our side of the net for certainly last semester and through the last week here, and, we're going to see how we come out when the whistle blows, but, SC, we played last year. The loss of Micah probably is very similar to our loss of Aaron. And how that changed their personality and their approach, who knows? You got Coach Nygaard coaching in his first NCAA competition. So, there's no doubt that Jeff is going to be very successful in that program. And, how do they change with him sitting in that first chair? Who knows? So, you play it by ear a little bit through the first match. The second match against UCLA, we're going to have UCLA's match against Ohio State on video. They're going to have ours. So, you're going to be a little bit more, I'm not going to say prepared, but ready for what you've seen. And then as the season goes on, like you're alluding to, you're going to have that build up in your inventory of matches that now you can be better prepared the next time you come across them, which in these cases hopefully would be in an NCAA play-in or semifinal match.
Yeah. Now, this is the first time since 2011 that you guys are going to be playing host to an MPSF team. What does that mean for your program that you're able to get some of these West Coast schools on your court and not have to travel across the country?
Well, I think if you look at when the NCAAs were here last, they were here last in 2011. So it gives the visiting teams the opportunity to come in and essentially walk through a scenario that they could conceivably be in May. So that works well. The fact many times as we've hosted, and I think the destination of teams coming here when they can is something that it's a great place to play the game. I think we have very sophisticated fans here. I think the Pennsylvania volleyball community always looks forward to seeing teams that they normally don't get a chance to see live. And I think it just really is showcases men's volleyball here at Penn State. And whether it's UCLA, USC, Long Beach, Northridge, Irvine, Ohio State, Louis Loyola, Ball State, Fort Wayne. We know they're going to be quality matches. We know they're going to be tough competition. Hopefully our crowd responds to that and just builds up the excitement for the NCAA tournament in May.
Yeah. And Coach, I'd love to ask you about conference play a little bit. I know you have a lot of respect for George Mason, and a lot of volleyball fans are excited to kind of see maybe that rivalry even get amped up a little bit more this year. Are you excited to play George Mason this year?
Oh, I think, yes, because I know Jay's going to do the right things with his guys. And I'm so excited for him and the opportunity that he has, and he and Steph, his wife, to kind of go down and put their own stamp of here's how we want to run our program. And, I can't be happier for Jay. I'd like to see him get his first win here this week. So, I think that he knows the beauty of him going to George Mason from Penn State is the fact that he knows the EIVA. He knows that for this league to get better, we have to have a concerted effort by all 8 teams. And I think sometimes the easiest thing to do is to have people in the league say, we've got to beat Penn State. I think Jay's coming out of that saying, no, we want to compete for a national championship. And I think Jay understands the fact that how you train, how you structure your program isn't to be the best in a region. If you want continued success, it's to be the best in the country or among the best in the country. And that's what excites me. If we can get some quality competition where, they're not afraid to come in our gym, we're not afraid to go in their gym, and we know we're going to get a high-quality, consistent match, win or lose, it's going to make this league better. It's going to make both of our programs better. And I'm excited for Jay. I'm thrilled for Jay. In fact, after we get off here, I'm shooting him a text saying, hey, make sure you get your number 1 tonight.
Definitely. Well, and talking about coaching milestones, Coach, final question for you here. USA Volleyball bestowed on you a huge honor, winning the Don Shondell All-Time Great Coach Award. What does that mean for you to be the recipient of this award?
First, I was making sure that this wasn't the comic relief year for USA Volleyball, but in all seriousness, this is one award I think that truly humbles me. You look at that list of coaches that have been honored by USAV in this award, and it's named for one of the greatest coaches in the country, and what Don Shondell did to put men's volleyball on the map in the Midwest, and his effects on how it grew in the East is just undeniable. And then you look at the Penn State connections there, with Russ being in that list, Tom Tate being in that list, Larry Bach being in that list. Larry was a Penn State grad. He made his mark at how successful he was at Juniata, and now carrying that over to Navy. But it's, you look at those, and those are just the Penn State connections. And when I grew up in volleyball, looking at those names of the coaches and knowing who they were probably before I knew who some of the collegiate players were, and it's humbling. I can't tell you then how I really feel, because it really to be in that, to be just mentioned in that group of coaches is unbelievable for a bald fat guy sitting here at Penn State that just never really looked at trying to be involved at that level. And it's amazing. It really is. A lot of people to thank.